Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're happy to have you with us today. My name is Carrie Ferg, and I'm your host for Manta's Small Business Expert Series about productivity. Manta wants to thank Evan Carmichael for generously donating his time and expertise on the subject. We hope you'll tweet about today's event using hashtag MantaExpert. We'll begin today with a welcome from Manta's Vice President of Marketing, Sarah Oakhurst. Here's Sarah.
Thanks, Carrie. For busy small business owners, becoming more productive can make the difference between mayhem and manageable. Instead of wading through an overly filled inbox or stacks of papers in your office, you could be out negotiating a game-changing partnership. According to a recent Manta survey, 41% of small business owners feel they're not as productive as they could be. During today's webinar, our guest, expert Evan Carmichael, is going to cover some of his innovative ideas to help you work smarter rather than harder. This will not only help you get a handle on chaos in the present, but it should help you develop new productivity habits that can benefit you for a lifetime. Now back to Carrie.
Thanks, Sarah. In case you missed it earlier, I'm Carrie Ferg, editor at Manta, and your host for today's webinar. I want to take you a few minutes to cover some important housekeeping items about the event. Let's first talk about your screen. During the webinar, you should see a slide area which will allow you to view the webinar. On top of the slide area are 3 tabs: Ask a Question, Attachments, and Rate This. Click on Attachments to view articles and links related to productivity, and Rate This to give us feedback about today's webinar. Click on the Ask a Question tab to ask a question anytime during the webinar. We'll do our best to respond during Q&A at the end of the event. If you're having technical difficulties, please email webinarhelp@manta.com. Again, webinarhelp@manta.com. My colleague Graham is answering your technical questions, so just send him a note. Now I'd like to introduce Graham, our community manager.
Hello everyone, I'll be helping with questions today. I know you'll have a lot of questions about our content once we get going, so ask them at any time. Just click on the Q&A widget and type in your questions and push them along. I'll push them along to Carrie and our expert Evan. Carrie and Evan will be answering questions in the last 15 minutes of the webinar, but please ask them as soon as you think of them. Also, after the webinar, I'll be hosting a discussion with Evan in our community. Join us and Evan will answer any lingering questions you have about today's topic.
Thanks, Graham. Now let's get down to business. I'm excited to introduce our guest today, Evan Carmichael. Guest expert Evan Carmichael built and sold a biotech company at age 19. By 22, he was a venture capitalist. Now he runs evancarmichael.com, dedicating his career to helping entrepreneurs and small business owners. Carmichael was named one of Forbes' top 40 social marketing talents. Evan, thanks for joining us today. Let's start with that fantastic picture of you salsa dancing. How does fueling your passion for dance make you a better entrepreneur?
It's great to be here. Thank you for the introduction. I think it's important to do things that make you come alive. And dancing is one of those things. It's one, a great escape from running the business, but also you get creativity, you get ideas. I met my wife. That's actually my wife in the picture with me there. I was doing a flip. And I think it's great for entrepreneurs to have those outlets where they can inject their passion into things and make them come alive.
Wonderful. Thanks, Evan. Here's what we have planned today. Evan is going to talk about habits that successful business owners typically adopt. Then he's going to cover tactical tips you can implement today to be more productive. He'll round out today's webinar with a discussion on how you can create momentum in your business. Ask your questions using the Ask a Question field anytime during the webinar, and we'll do our best to answer them the last 15 minutes. I'd like to start with a quick story. Small business owners wear a lot of hats and have no shortage of tasks to accomplish in a day, but as Sarah said, 41% feel they are not as productive as they could be, according to a recent Manta poll. 42% of small business owners polled check their email 5 to 10 times in a day. That's like 50 times in a week. And expectations from customers to get quick responses are high. 17% expect an email response from small businesses immediately, 21% within 1 to 2 hours, and another 27% want to hear back from you by the end of the day. Email and other distractions could be standing between you and your focus on the big picture. Today we're going to talk about what you can do to become more productive and efficient in your small business, which will ultimately help you drive a more profitable company. So with that being said, let's get down to business. And remember, if you have any questions, just use the Ask the Question tab and send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the webinar today. So Evan, the first habit you recommend for small business owners is to eliminate. What does that mean exactly?
Entrepreneurs have a lot of stuff on their plate, but they're just doing too many of the wrong things. We're scattered, we're all over the place, we're trying to take on so many projects, and you need to really hone in on the things that you can be the best in the world at, right? What are some of the skills that you can be one of the best in the world at, and focus your time on that? And the first step is to eliminate the things that are not essential. Eliminate the things. Look at your week, look at the things that you have plotted into that week, and how many of those things are really the high leverage CEO, big picture stuff that's going to help you grow something amazing. The other stuff, you want to really take a hard look and cut from your schedule so it gives you more time to do the things that you're really good at.
All right, well, let's move on to the second habit, automation.
Automation is about, yep.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask, how much is too much manual execution of tasks? How do small business owners know, okay, it's time to look at automating this process?
Anything that you are doing multiple times, it's kind of there on the slide. If I have to do something more than twice, I look for a way to automate it, right? If you are doing manual tasks, one, they get boring, right? Especially as entrepreneurs, we have ADD, you know, we want to do the growth stuff, not the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so I ended up looking for software tools to help me, and then eventually hiring a developer on staff to look at the things that I'm doing repeatedly and find ways to just outsource them to technology so that they get done. You know, it doesn't, your technology doesn't take vacation days or sick pay or anything else, and it frees up your time again to do the big things that will help you grow a big business.
Evan, are there any tools in particular that you recommend for automation?
So for me on the social media side, I use Hootsuite a lot. I use Evernote a lot for a lot of the stuff. I think we'll touch on that later on in the session. And I've built a lot of custom stuff. Basically, I look at what am I doing repeatedly, and I think there has to be a better way to do this, right? Websites like If This Then That, IFTTT.com helps with a lot of automation. Look at automating your home, look at automating your car. You know, the more you can take off the manual kind of grunt stuff that you have to do on a day-to-day basis, it frees up your time to do the more creative, high leverage, high value work. And so that's the goal with automation.
All right, got it. Well, let's move on to the third habit of successful business owners, delegation. Small business owners are typically very passionate about what they do, and so it's tough for them to give up control. What are your tips for delegating successfully?
This is a big one for entrepreneurs. I think the challenge in giving somebody else a part of your baby can be hard. It's like if you have a baby and then you have to give her over to a babysitter, that's a tough thing to do. But I think what you have to realize is you can't do this alone. Like, you cannot build a massively successful, world-changing, game-changing company by yourself. You need a team to help you do it. And again, it's coming back to the idea of what can you be one of the greatest in the world at? And then how can you eliminate, automate, and delegate the rest away so that you can focus on what you're best at? You know, some things can't be eliminated, but you can automate them. Some things can't be automated. They have to be done by somebody, but that somebody doesn't have to be you. So you can delegate it to somebody else. And it doesn't have to be some big project. The first person that I hired was for 1 hour a day to do database work for me. And that was 1 hour that I didn't have to spend during the day. That freed up an hour of my time. And so you may be thinking, well, I don't have the budget to hire somebody full time. You know, I can barely pay myself. But hiring somebody to do small tasks for you, an hour a day, a couple hours a week, that can free up your time to focus on much bigger projects is super high leverage for you and really important.
All right, thanks, Evan. I just want to remind the audience today, if you have questions for Evan, he will answer them at the end of the webinar. So feel free to use the Ask the Question tab and send them our way. Now let's move on to chunking. Why is it more efficient to chunk than to do something multiple times a day?
Yeah, chunking allows you to bring the things that you do on a regular basis together because you're in that mindset and flow. So anything that you do multiple times per week, do once per week. Anything you do multiple times per day, do once per day. So you're not constantly switching. Switching tasks is killer to your productivity. And so as an example, Tuesday is my book writing day. So I shut off all my distractions. I don't take calls. I don't look at my email. I don't do YouTube videos. Tuesday, I just go and I write my book. Where if I was constantly distracted by emails coming in or people wanting to take meetings, I would never get real productivity done on my book because you can't do it in half an hour chunks. Thursday, we're recording this on a Thursday, is my public-facing day, right? It's my interviews, webinars, phone calls, meetings, and I'm dressed as I would dress when I'm meeting somebody. I have my energetic self on. Where Tuesday, when I'm writing my book, I can be in my pajamas and not shaved in the morning, and I can be my introvert self. And it's super hard to switch between the two. It's hard to go like deep creative introvert to, oh, hey, how you doing, extrovert, and doing presentations, and then dive back into your book. And so we all have these tasks in our business. And the idea here is to, as much as possible, run a no-crisis business where you're not constantly responding to other people's emergencies, but creating a schedule with purpose and intent and around chunking certain tasks together so you can flow through your days and through your weeks much more productively.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Evan. I'm curious though, with digital interruptions being such a big issue, and it's almost like they train us to respond, instantly. How did you develop the discipline to kind of, chunk when you'll answer emails?
Yeah, I think email was one of the biggest ones, and I did this before kind of the social media revolution. I used to pride myself on answering emails quickly. I thought this is a hallmark of a good business, that I'm responding within 10 seconds of them sending it to me, and I would get responses and, wow, you're so fast. I think the realization, though, hit me that I'm spending all my time just constantly replying to others and not doing important things for my business. Not that those aren't important, but they're of minor importance compared to big projects that I should be working on. And you look at your goals and what you want to accomplish, and then you look at, well, am I making the steps that I need to get there? And it's usually because you're not spending enough time on doing the big stuff, the big picture things that you need to do. And so one of the easiest ways to eliminate it is by cutting down those distractions. And so how did I do it? Like, how do you develop discipline? It was just shifting my mindset to understand that I'm trying to do something big and important here, and I can't spend the time on these little things that I need to get done, right? So I lose out on some stuff, and it's being okay with losing out on some minor victories to go for the big ones. So like reporters are an example. Reporters might email me and they say, I'm on a deadline, I need an answer for this. Can you be on by 3 o'clock this afternoon? And I might not get it till 7 o'clock that evening. And so I've missed that opportunity. But I've spent that, those hours doing something that's of more value than that reporter's interview. And so it was just the awareness that these micro distractions that constantly happen are preventing me from accomplishing the goals that I have for myself.
All right, thank you. So the next rule, no phone, seems sort of like a tough rule to follow in business. Can you expand upon what you mean by this productivity habit?
Sure. I am on the deep end on this one. You're going to think I'm living in some foreign country or something, but I don't use a cell phone. I don't even really have a phone number. I'm calling you in from the Google Hangout number. I understand that phones are an important part of the business. I think, though, that the problem here is the interruption. It prevents you from being focused. So I'm not saying get rid of your phone. I'm saying you need to have it scheduled. So for phone calls, they're an important part of my business. I do phone calls all the time, but they're always scheduled. They're always going to be on a Thursday. That's my public-facing day. And they're scheduled back to back to back to back, where the danger of having your phone your cell phone near you or an office phone, is that it's going to interrupt you from doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so even if I'm writing my book and the phone rings, as an example, even if I don't answer it, right? Even if you're working on something, even if you don't answer the phone, you're curious, oh, who's calling me? And you look over, and maybe you recognize the number, or maybe you don't, and you're thinking, who's that person? And that 30-second interruption can totally break your flow from what you're working on. And it can take you 20 minutes to get back into the zone that you had before. And so unscheduled phone calls, I guess, is more the culprit here. Unscheduled phone calls are other people's agenda for your time. And if you want to do something important, then you need to control your time and plan it out with purpose and not just be reacting to other people's agendas and needs.
All right, well, I'd like to switch the page a little bit to some morning tactics. I think you've got a great suggestion, Evan, on what small business owners can do to fuel energy into their whole day. Let's start with prepping the night before.
Yeah, I think morning routines are important. I think we all have morning routines. I think most people don't have a intent and purpose around the morning routine beyond getting themselves ready. Like, I need to do this to get ready for going to business, but not I need to do this to build myself up and get myself mentally and emotionally ready for doing something amazing today. And so usually the mornings are just super rushed as you're, if you have kids, trying to get your kids to school or just get yourself ready and out the door, where I would challenge people to have a little more intent and purpose in designing a morning routine that supports you being the best version of yourself. And so step one of doing that is starting the night before. You're rushed in the morning, you're trying to get all this stuff done, and the more you can prepare the night before, where you have a little bit more time, the easier it is to follow through in the habits. So as an example, if your habit, you got a nice healthy lunch here, if one of your goals was I want to eat healthy, then if you were forced to make this meal in the morning, you may not do it, right? Like, there's the sandwiches, there's all those cherry tomatoes, you got to cut the apple slices, you got to put it in the box, that's a lot of work. Maybe I'm rushed, I got to run to this meeting, so I'm just going to grab something that I can put in the microwave when I get to the office, right? Where if you prepare the night before, you're much more likely to follow through on the good habits. If you would like to run in the morning, you're much more likely to follow through if you get your running shoes and put them by your bed with the gym clothes that you're going to wear to go running, right? Even just that thing that takes 30 seconds to prepare, seeing it there and having it ready for you so in the morning you can get up and just do it, you're much more likely to follow through. Because we all set these habits and goals for ourselves of what we want to do, and then we very rarely actually follow through on most of those because they're painful and there's a time constraint. And so make it easy for yourself by starting as much as possible and prepping the night before.
And now
next, sorry, I cut you off there. So the next one was family moment, and I think there was, I like to start, this is a personal thing for me, I like to do something to just show gratitude and love in the morning. That might sound super corny, but it sets me up feeling positive. And I think you need something in the morning to make you feel good about your life. Because we can wake up, we're tired, we're, snowing. I'm sitting here in Toronto, Canada. It's snowing outside. I want something to make me feel good. And so sometimes I wake up with my wife and I'll make her breakfast drink and I'll give her a hug goodbye. If she's out the door before I get up, then the first thing I'll do is message her to say good morning, how'd you sleep? Just a quick little connection, because I think it's easy to lose connections, especially as an entrepreneur. You're doing so much. You have so many hours put into your work that building that back into your life makes a difference. It's 30 seconds, it's a minute in the morning, doesn't take long, but can make you feel really good and set you up for the day. The next one here was about turning on music, and I love this. Music changes your state. Music makes you come alive. The right song comes on to get you emotional, like good or bad. And again, in the mornings, you can feel tired. You can feel a little sluggish. I don't want to go. I didn't have a good sleep. But the right song comes on, and you're bouncing and you're moving. And so you want to not do this by accident, not by, you're driving your way, you hear some song randomly that gets you excited, but in the morning, you schedule it in, you have your family moment, then you put on music. And I have a playlist, I call it the Believe playlist. Make your own playlist. Whatever songs make you move. Like, I want you to get moving. I want you jumping. I want you dancing. I want you bopping around. Whatever that song is. We all have different tastes, and that's totally okay. But something that gets you excited. And I encourage you to make a playlist, because if it's the same song over and over, you'll get tired of it, and you'll actually start to dislike it because it's always your morning song. So mix it with other songs, and I find that really gives me energy and excitement to start my day. The next one was have lemon water. And so here, you're dehydrated. Like when you wake up, you are dehydrated already. And most people just in general are dehydrated. You don't have enough water. Coffee doesn't count. Coke doesn't count. You need water. You need water throughout the day, but especially in the morning, you may feel really tired, and it may be because you had a bad sleep, but a good chance is also you're just dehydrated and you need to drink some water. And so just having a glass of water, again, you can prep this the night before, have a glass of water ready, and it's sitting there, in the fridge for you to pull out. I like adding some lemon. It's got some health benefits. You can Google it and look it up, and it makes water taste refreshing too. But something as simple as preparing the night before, a glass of lemon water, you just have to go to the fridge and pull it out and drink it, can give you, again, more energy in the day to get you started. Working out is one that I'm a fan of. Again, I like finding things in the morning that gets me excited and moving. So the song is a good start. The song gets me in my zone. The song isn't easy. It's like a quick hit, right? So like a shot of espresso. It gets you excited. The working out gets your body moving even more, gets the blood flowing, and it can be something as simple as, this New York Times workout that came out that's 7 minutes. That's super easy to do. I usually like going for a run, whether it's outside or if it's watching, some YouTube videos that I'm behind on and running on the spot. Just something to get the blood pumping and get you moving. Again, if you can plan that into your morning, all of these things don't have to take a lot of time. We're coming down the list like, oh, there's 5 things I have to do already. It doesn't have to take a lot of time for any of these. You can do 30 seconds of jumping jacks. Just something to get your body moving, the blood flowing. It'll start making you feel alive, and that's how you want to start your day. Number 6 was remember your why, and I think for this one, it's really important for entrepreneurs to remember why they started their business. What's the big picture? What are you trying to do? At the start of a business, it's there, right? Like, I can't wait to start this business. I'm so excited because I want to do this. As you get deeper into it, you can get jaded. You can get frustrated that it's taking so long. It's not moving as fast as you want. You don't have the momentum that you'd like. And so remembering your why daily, I find to be really important. What's the big thing that I'm trying to accomplish that can help me break through, right? To, these small steps that I'm doing every day is for a reason. Because if you lose sight of your reason, you're going to get depressed pretty quickly and your productivity is going to tank. And so a quick reminder, again, this takes 10 seconds just to sit there and visualize and remember back to what did I start this business for? What am I trying to accomplish? What is my why? Remembering that can get you excited and set you up for the day. And then the last thing is about starting a task that gives you energy. So now you're ready to start your work. You're sitting down to your computer. The first thing that most people do is they open up their email. And in your email, the day just explodes on you. There's fires to be put out, there's problems here and there, and suddenly you've already lost control of your entire day. What I love doing is something, I call these the little whys, little reasons that get me excited and starting my workday on a positive. For me right now, what I do is my YouTube comments. I love my YouTube comments. There's messages in there every day from people saying, your videos really helped change my life. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the advice. It just makes me feel good. And so you want to start your day with something that makes you feel good, that you're excited to do, that you look forward to going in and doing before you jump in on the tasks that kind of have to get done. I think if you can do that, follow these 7 things. Again, it looks like a lot, but it's super easy to follow, and none of them have to take a lot of time. And now you're setting up your day with purpose, with intent, with a strategy to make you the best version of yourself and not kind of accidentally stumble across a webinar or a speech or something that makes you excited. You plan it into your day every day so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Those are great tips, Evan. Thank you. I'd like to move on to email now. Email is a big offender of wasting people's time. What do you do to manage your inbox so it's not disruptive and all-consuming?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. I think people do get massively overwhelmed by email. We talked a little bit before about chunking your time, and so that's probably the most important thing with email is not having it open all the time and having set times where you are looking at your email. I use Gmail, and one of the things that I find super helpful is the tabs at the top. I have two tabs. One is for my general inbox, and one is for the I guess, quote unquote, important people or more important people in my life. So, you know, my family's there, my wife is there, my important clients, important media contacts, they're there. And I'll check those every day, but not multiple times, just usually once a day, I'll check those. And then everybody else is in my main forums, my main tab. I won't usually even check from the computer. It'll be from my iPhone, which is only on Wi-Fi, so I don't have a data plan and I don't have a cell number. But if I'm sitting there at the grocery store with my wife or at the Department of Motor Vehicles, that's when I'm answering most people's emails. And again, that's done with intent, and I miss out on opportunities, as I talked about, but helps me focus on the big picture things. I love using the star feature. With any email, you can start, and then I set aside time in my calendar, usually on a Friday, to go over the starred items. And the starred items are just things that I can't address on the spot, right? So most emails that come in, I can respond and say, you know, yes, no, one sentence, whatever. Some of them you need to look at a document that they sent, or review a contract, or you need time to think about it, or you need to go check something out on the website. I'll save those, and then I'll chunk them all together, and then on Friday, I'll go through all of those and clean them up. And then I think also super important is unsubscribing from a lot of the things you subscribe to. We get an insane number of emails and newsletters from, it could be from thought leaders, it could be from products that you've bought, companies that you've subscribed to. You know, just look at how many newsletters you get and how many you just delete immediately as soon as it comes in. Just unsubscribe from them. Make sure that every newsletter that you're getting is giving you value on a regular basis, that if they didn't send you an email, you would think, huh, what happened to that company? I'm going to find out if I'm still on their list. Right? If I forget to send out an email or I'm too busy because I'm on vacation through my newsletter, I'll get people writing and say, hey, I didn't get your Wednesday email. Is everything okay? And so you want that to happen as an entrepreneur. You want people to care that much about your newsletter. And then as a consumer, if somebody is not, you know, giving you the value, then just unsubscribe from those newsletters.
I want to take a quick minute to remind people in the audience, if they'd like questions answered by Evan, to go ahead and use the Ask a Question tab, and we'll do our best to get to them at the end of the webinar. Now, let's expand on that idea of purposeful planning a little more, Evan. Like we've talked about with email and other digital interruptions, it's easy to want to respond based upon someone else's priorities. What's your advice on how to be more purposeful with planning?
I think it's just, first of all, adopting the mindset, because I can give you all the tools and tips and techniques, but if you don't have the mindset, you're not going to change anything. You're not going to change your habits. So it's the mindset that your time is valuable and that you're in control of your schedule and that you're not going to let people push those boundaries down. That's definitely the first step. And so, you know, I'm in control of my calendar. I know what I'm doing on certain days, and not letting people encroach on that, because there's going to be a constant urge to say, you know, I can squeeze that in here, and then I go, okay, I'll squeeze that one in, and then you do that enough times, and you know you've lost control of your calendar again, and you're just reacting. And so, understand your time is important, and you need to take control. From there, in terms of tools, one of my favorite resources is Evernote. We talked about a little bit earlier on. Evernote is my external brain. If I'm writing something, I have an idea that comes at 2 in the morning, I can just quickly add it to an Evernote file. I can put it on my iPad and it's there. and then I can go to my computer and it's there, and if I'm out, I can find it, right? So Evernote is just super helpful. And then also, I bring my team on board for different files. So projects that we're working on, we'll share an Evernote file. They can update it, I can update it. You have to be kind of strategic about how you're going to have your folders set up, or notebooks, what they call an Evernote. But I use it as my to-do list. I have them, here's my to-do list that I need to do for Friday. Here's all the lists. And then again, any ideas that I have, I can put in there, and it's easy to search and becomes my external brain. Their new feature, I feel like I work for Evernote. Their new feature is amazing about scanning receipts. If you want to go paperless, Evernote's the easiest way to do it. You can get rid of all your paper receipts, and it like super quickly recognizes that it's a receipt, scans it, saves it, optimizes it, and then turns it into full text. So you can do a search on it and find any receipts super quick. So definitely a good time-saving tool.
Evan, what do you think about project management tools like Basecamp and Trello?
I haven't used them. I've heard a lot of good things about Trello, especially recently. But we use Evernote as our project management. If I was just starting over, I might look at Trello as the tool to use. But I already have so much invested into Evernote, and my team loves it. And it works. Like for our workflow, there's not enough of a pain. Like it works really well how we use Evernote, so there's no pain point saying, I'm going to leave this to go somewhere else. But if you're just at the starting stages, a lot of people have had a lot of success, especially with Trello, so worth checking out.
Yeah, why fix something that's not broken?
Exactly.
So let's step back and look at the big picture again. So once small business owners, take some of your advice into account and they're able to streamline sort of the daily interruptions and the tedious tasks that come their way, how can they be more efficient as executing on bigger picture strategies that, you use this phrase, making momentum, that can take them in that direction?
Yeah, so the first picture you have there is about forming alliances, and forming alliances is the fastest way to grow a business. If you're like, I need to grow business really quickly, the way to do it is through alliance partners. And what you want to think about is who already has your target audience, who is already selling to them, and how can you find some way to work together? So you want to look at complementary businesses. I'm not going and talking to my competitors, but complementary businesses, one, they're a lot easier to talk to, right? To say, hey, I want to try to figure out a way we might be able to support each other's businesses. Who's going to say no to that call? And two, the idea is now instead of trying to sell customers one at a time, you're dealing with people who can potentially give you a steady flow of customers. So you're taking one person out for coffee, and that can translate into business every single month from new clients, a stream. And so it's figuring out how you can add value to each other's lives. So, classic example is a wedding photographer. You're trying to break out as a wedding photographer. Who can you make alliances with? Well, the flower companies that are selling to the wedding couples, right? The wedding planners, the banquet halls, the limousine services, basically everything that goes into making a wedding happen. You could make connections with those people and be the photographer that they recommend. And it applies in every single industry. It's how I built my software business from sucking and making $300 a month to being acquired in 3 years and selling to NASA and Johnson & Johnson and huge companies was through alliance partners, basically finding people who own those customers and finding a way that we can work together. So it's by far the fastest way to do it. And I don't think enough entrepreneurs take advantage of the opportunity.
Evan, do you have any, that's really impressive, the 3 years that it took you to grow your company and get to the point where it could be acquired. And you say forming alliances was essential in that process. Do you have any tips on how small business owners can get their foot through the door? Maybe a potential partner is really busy and doesn't really want to hear what you have to say at first. How do you build that value right away so that they're willing to listen?
Sure. I think one, it's easier to talk to partners than it is to customers. It's easier to ask for a coffee with a potential partner because they see value much more than a customer where they're going to see odds. So form alliances again, right? So the fastest way is to find people who can sell your target audience for you. The classic deal here was IBM and Microsoft. And this is what saved my business from I'm making $300 a month to be able to do something of meaning and value and actually build a real business was looking at Microsoft's story. And their big deal came with IBM when every IBM computer had the Microsoft software out. That made Microsoft. But Microsoft was already a $7 million business when that deal happened. And how did they get there? Through partnerships. And so think about the partnerships that you can ally yourself with. Again, already selling to your target audience, and how can you make that connection in to make a deal? So in terms of Carrie's question about how do you make that first introduction, again, they're much easier than making a customer call. Two, I wouldn't stretch too far outside your size and where you can add value. So if I'm Microsoft and I'm starting out, I don't go to IBM, I go to somebody a little bit smaller. You're a wedding photographer starting out, I would look at not the #1 guy in the industry who's huge and wouldn't take my call, but somebody who's a little bit bigger than you. And an old mentor of mine used to call it pulling sweaters, where you pull your sweater, you pull the guy's sweater ahead of you to get closer to the front of the line. As you get better, as you can provide more value, as you can help that other person out more, then you can move up the chain. And I think the way to do it is to really understand that you want to help them too, and you want to help their client. Because for any wedding couple, back to the classic example, a wedding planner needs a photographer, right? You don't have a wedding without a photographer. And so if you can provide an amazing service, then that gives them, that makes them look good. That makes them look really good as a wedding organizer because they referred an amazing photographer. And so whenever you do get a deal, you've got to over-deliver like crazy so that that partner wants to send you more and more and more deals. I'm going to, I think I can control the slides here. Let's see, can I control the slides? Can you guys see this? Next is getting the media. I think, holy cow, there's a ton of questions here. Okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm assuming that it's working. Next part is getting to the media, and here, again, we're looking for ways to be able to reach out to our audience without having to go one at a time. So the next thing that really helped my business, my first software company from sucking to being acquired in 3 years, was getting the media. And whenever you can get in the media, a targeted media, right, to your industry or to your customers, it's reaching thousands of people at once, right, instead of one at a time. And so that really helped blow up my company, and I've used it in my own personal business as well. When I was starting my own personal brand, I would send out a media release every 2 weeks, and I would build my own media list. And it's not just sending out stories, not just sending out press releases, right, because people don't care about that. What you have to do is target it to their audience and give them something that you can see them actually running with. A lot of times the quote unquote press releases that I put out, they would copy and paste and put into their magazine or newspaper because it was value add. It wasn't just a promotional thing about some new service or product I had. It was talking about a newsworthy, buzzworthy topic. So that's what you want to get going with your media strategy. And remember that you are providing value to the reporter, right? With any story, the reporter needs an expert, right? In every story that you look at, there's always an expert. Why can't that expert be you? Why are they interviewing Joe Schmo down the road where that could be you speaking up your mind and telling people, you know, what you feel about this topic? And so a great way to start making those connections to reporters are look at the people covering your industry. If you see them talking about something, you can email them, you can tweet them, reporter, and let them know and share your side of the story. And next time they have a story to contact you. The other service I use that's been super helpful that got me into New York Times and a bunch of other ones is PR Leads. PRLeads.com is a paid service. I'm not affiliated with them apart from being a happy customer. $99 a month or $97 a month, I think, where reporters are sending out their stories. Like, I'm working on this story and I need an expert. Can you help me with this? And so that's a great opportunity for you to jump in and say, I'm an expert, here are my views. There's a free version of it that's not as high quality sources called HARO, Help a Reporter Out, HARO. The challenge is, one, the source quality isn't always as great, and two, there's a lot of competition. Because it's free, you're now one of thousands instead of one of a dozen people that might be pitching that reporter. So I find that PR Leads was a better alternative. It's got me some good media, and I highly recommend checking it out. And then the last one here is Model Success, and this one really helped me in my business as well, where I realized that I wasn't the first guy to try to solve this problem before, right? When I was sucking in my software company and making $300 a month, and I wanted to quit, and I told my business partner, I quit, I'm out, this is like soul crushing, I can't believe I'm still doing this. What helped me get through was realizing that I'm not the first guy to try to sell software. Why am I trying to figure out everything by myself? How can I model somebody who's already done it? And so I looked up to people like Bill Gates, and not how they make an extra $1 million now, but started. Like, how did Bill Gates get started? 0 to 1. That's what I wanted to do. How do I get to 0 to 1? And for him, it was through partnerships. And so I modeled that strategy. And ever since then, I've always tried to look at, how have other people solved this problem? I don't have to do it exactly like them, but they are leaving clues for me. I just have to pick them up. And so whatever problem that you're facing right now, somebody has already solved it before. Just do your research. Find out who they were. You can look at their story, and the bigger the name they are, the easier it is to find information. As a side note to that, I'd also say, look at people that you look up to, even if they're in a different industry. You know, if you sell software, but you love Oprah, look at Oprah's success too. Look at how Oprah started. Look at what made her who she is. And if you really have an affinity towards that person, there's success clues that you can learn from them that will also help you be a better entrepreneur and give you not just the strategies to do well, but also the motivation. Seeing that they started from nothing and built up can give you, at least it gave me, the constant motivation to help me out.
Hey, thanks, Evan. I want to apologize for technical difficulties we had. Our network went down, so I'm not sure if the audience can actually see our slides right now, but we can just round out with questions that we had from the audience. It doesn't require a visual anyway.
Sure. I was flipping the slides so I could see them, so I don't know if the audience could, but whatever. Here we go. That's what happens when you do live stuff.
Thank you so much. So one person is wondering, if you were influenced by Tim Ferriss from the 4-Hour Workweek, what do you think of Tim, and you know, have you taken or been inspired by his ideas?
Yeah, I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan. I love the 4-Hour Workweek. One of my favorite books. Had a big impact on me in terms of he really talks about chunking and just the time management. Where I disagree with him in that book is that he's all about building a muse and basically trying to make as much money from something as you can with as little time as possible, so then you can go focus on something else that you love. Where I'm much more about, you should build a business that you love. Like, you should be doing something because you love it, and try to bring both sides of loving it plus making money together. But a lot of the time management stuff is excellent, and I would say a must-read book for any entrepreneur.
Someone is wanting to know more about Evernote. Is it an app? Is it in the cloud? They just sort of want the logistics and how they can find it and implement it in their business.
Sure. So it's a mix. There's an app. So you can go to the App Store, or whatever device you're using. You can look up Evernote. It'll be there with lots of 5-star reviews and tons of downloads. It's pretty easy to find. The logo is a elephant. It's a gray elephant on a green background. So you can find it there. It's also something that you can download to your computer just by going to evernote.com, and it's also a website, so you can, it backs everything up that you create to the cloud. So wherever you are, you can access it on any device, any computer. If you're remote, you're on a cruise and you want to access it, you can use your computers and find your files. And super affordable. There's a free version it gives you. I was on a free version for a long time, so I would definitely start there. And afterwards, I don't know, I want to say it's $10 a month or something. It's super affordable, and just made a huge impact on my business.
So one of our audience members is really, interested in your philosophy, Evan, and wants to know more about your YouTube channel. And can you provide detailed channel name?
Yeah, the name is Modeling the Masters. So back to my point about modeling success. Or if you just go to YouTube and you type in Evan Carmichael, you'll see my stuff. Most of the videos there are around, it's all about entrepreneurship. Most of it around modeling the lessons from famous entrepreneurs. So, what did Steve Jobs do in this circumstance and how can you learn from his success? And every day we do different entrepreneurs. And so would love to have you there and check it out and leave some comments.
And do you have a favorite CRM in your opinion? Which one has the best value?
I'm not a huge CRM user, mostly because my business is pretty simple. So I'm not a technician. So, people are talking about different CRM programs. But for me, honestly, I keep everything in an Excel file because my client base, I'm in the fortunate position where I don't work with many clients, but they're all high value. And so I don't need a complicated CRM. You can use Evernote as a CRM. A lot of people use it too as a CRM, but for me, I don't have the need. So I only like talking about I only give advice on things that I'm actually using as if it was a conjecture. So I don't have a fantastic answer for you on that one because I'm not a practitioner.
So Evan, one more question for you. I love the idea of your morning routine. But what about night owls, people who, struggle getting their energy going in the morning? How can they sort of adopt that healthy habit if it feels really counterintuitive to who they are?
So one, I would say you need to find your cadence. If you are a night owl, then I would highly recommend you try to stay a night owl and not force yourself to be a morning person. The more you force yourself to do something, the harder it is to actually do it. So, if you stay up until 4 in the morning coding, that's great. Continue to do it. I don't think it really makes a difference though. This is really about how you start your day. Whether you wake up at 5 in the morning or you wake up at noon, it's still about how you start your day and making sure that each day is set up for success. So all of those lessons can still be applied if you're a night owl and you're waking up, your day doesn't start till noon, where most people, it's already half over. You can still apply all the lessons.
All right, here's another question for you, Evan. This person says they're a distributor in the promotional products industry. I get an overwhelming amount of emails from suppliers. I feel like if I unsubscribe, I may be missing out on something, or if I delete it and just move it to their designated folder within my email. Unfortunately, I rarely ever view the message after I move it to the folder within my inbox. Do you have any other email organization tips available?
So what I would try to do, honestly, it sounds like it's pretty low leverage and low value, and you should unsubscribe if you've never had to go back and look at it. And I'm telling you, there's going to be this real fear that you're going to miss something. But it's a small loss, right? Like it's willing to give up the little things to go for the big things. So it's not perfect that you're going to catch everything, but now that you've freed up your time because you're not subscribing to these things, then what are you going to do with it? Like make the most of that time, make it high impact and high value. And so you can't say that you're never going to miss an opportunity, because you will, but you're spending the time that you saved on much more high value things. If you want to test it out, then an easy thing to do would be to have, one folder for one person and just do one supplier at a time and see, are you getting value? Are you getting results? Like schedule a time in. I don't know how often they say it. They send it. If they send in a weekly newsletter, then put in your calendar at the end of the month, I'm going to check out this folder and see, is there any value in any of these things? And if they've been sending you emails for a month or 2 months and there's nothing of value there, then just unsubscribe. That's how I would do it. And let you focus on bigger picture stuff. Like your time is valuable. You need to respect that and focus on the things that you can be the best in the world at.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. We have another question here that's a little bit bigger picture, but maybe you'd like to take it. How would you recommend starting a business when you currently have a full-time job? What steps would you take to get out of the current job to start what you are currently passionate about? How do you juggle both?
Fantastic question. One that I think a lot of people struggle with. I'm not the guy, I may be counterintuitive. I'm not the guy who says, burn the boats, quit the job, and go all in your business. I think too many people do that. It takes way longer than you think it's going to take to get the revenue that you need. And then like you're out of money in 3 to 6 months, you have to go back begging for another crappy job. I think the way to do it is to start, first of all, whatever job you have, you should be learning and training to be a better entrepreneur. So the point of a job isn't just to make money, it's to learn and be better. So I would find whatever industry you want to start a business around, I would find a business that's already in that industry and go work for them. So now I'm learning and not just making money. I would try to find a company that has 10 employees or less, one where I can get really close to the founder, take on more responsibilities than what I was hired to do. You know, no entrepreneur is going to say, no, I don't want you to do more work. You know, no, I don't need more help, right? Take on more projects, learn about the industry. You're getting paid to make mistakes so that when you start your company, you're not going to make as many mistakes. So it's super valuable. It's like getting paid to go to university and learn. You're making connections in the industry. You're understanding how things work. And again, get as much knowledge as possible into the various components of that business. So when you go out and start your own, you're much more likely to succeed. At the same time, so one, you've quit this crappy job and you're onto something where you're actually going to learn something about being an entrepreneur. The second part is you start on the side. So your evenings, your weekends, you're trying to build a client base, you're trying to provide value, you're trying to improve your skill set. And when you get to the point where one of two things happen, one, you're making enough money to quit your job and survive, not make tons of money, not like I can go buy a Lamborghini. I'm talking about pay the internet bills and, you know, keep the lights on and eat, right? Basics. When you can do that, then it could be time to leave the job and go full time, because then you can spend more time in it. And or when you stop learning at the company, right? If you've gone to this job to learn and you've learned a lot, but now you've stopped learning, then it's either go find another job where you can learn more, or if your business is ready, jump into it full time. I think it's a much more effective way to start a business and really sets you up for success, as opposed to what a lot of people do. They burn their life savings and then they're back at a job and kind of wishing they didn't do it.
That's, I think, a good middle ground approach to take, Evan. We have another person who's wondering if you could go over the automation apps and websites that you recommended. I think you mentioned Hootsuite. Could you go into a little more detail about the tools that you use to automate?
Sure. Let me think of the tools that I use. So Hootsuite is one that I use every day. I'm going to load them up. As I'm doing this, I'm going to load my browser and see what websites. I have a folder in my Chrome that is daily. So these are the things that I check on a daily basis. So Hootsuite is one, and I use that for my Twitter account. And it's just much easier than nobody really uses Twitter anymore. They use some kind of client. I set up different lists. So I have people who are obviously mentioning me that I want to respond to, but also clients that I'm following, or just people that I really enjoy that I'm following, family members I'm following. So it's super easy to set up there. I look at Google Trends every day. I look at Google Trends for US as well as Canada, since I'm Canadian. US is probably more relevant to most of your audience, just to see what's happening in the world. Maybe I have a viewpoint on it that I want to share. It helps think of ideas that you can create for social content. I use Fitbit, so I track my steps every day and I track my weight every day. So I log into my Fitbit and see, am I on track for my goals? Kickstarter, I look at every day. I look at Kickstarter Toronto, which is my local city, but I'm curious to see what new products and inventions people are coming out with. Same token, Product Hunt is another one that I look at regularly, just to see new websites, new innovations that people are creating. And then Tubular Labs is a really great one if you have a YouTube channel. Lots of great data and stats that kind of see your channel in a nutshell. So those are the ones that I find most helpful and important. And I guess Twitter search as well. On the Twitter search page underneath, it shows you the trending hashtags and topics. I think this is all customized around me, since I'm very social. My business is very social. I use a lot of different social tools. For you, you'd want to look at what are the things that I'm doing repeatedly and is there software that can help me? So if it's using Evernote, if it's using a CRM tool, if it's using WordPress to write your blog, if you're doing something more than once, look for an automation tool to help you do it, because you know you're going to do it again.
Awesome. I think that's a really good rule to remember. It's easy, it sticks with you, so just keep that in mind. Thanks, Evan, for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. We've got to wrap it up now, but if your question wasn't answered, head over to the Manta community to get your question answered by Evan. He'll check there a few times in the next hour. Just visit community.manta.com and click on the Ask the Expert banner to pose your question anytime within the next hour, and Evan will answer there. Thanks, Evan, for presenting today. Be sure to sign up for our next webcast on how to boost your small business credit score on February 9th. We hope you'll join us then. Thanks for attending today.
Thanks, guys.